Welcome one and all, HJ19 here, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Breakdown where I break down the day, the deck, or the duel, and everything in between. Today's breakdown is the new Yubel Support that just came out. Whoa, let's just jump into it. Before we do, let me go ahead and shout out Ygopaladin seller on Instagram. You can go ahead and see a lot of the stuff that he's selling or auctioning off. He also has his main Instagram, Ygopaladin by itself, where he posts a lot of spoilers from latest packs. That being said, the day before the announcement of the new Yubel support, Konami announced the Yubel and Jaden sleeves and Pearly sleeves. I'm excited about this. I'm definitely going to be trying to get this either imported, or if they come straight over here to the TCG, I'm going to buy myself a good amount, because, you know, these sleeves, if they don't do well, then they kind of like, Konami just throws them into the ether, and then suddenly 10, 15, 20 years later, they're $150 each, which I'm trying to get some of the older Jaden sleeves, but definitely gonna not miss my opportunity to get these. That being said, the new Yubel support is interesting. I'm not going to say it's meta-defining, but it has some pretty interesting abilities. I've already read through it multiple times. I thought about what I was going to say, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to mess up this video by you know, just mix-matching what I wanted to say. But let's just get into it with Spirit of Yubel, a nice reflection of Spirit of Neos, but mind you, the Yubel deck, if you haven't read these cards, the Yubel cards are specifically for the Yubel deck, but we'll talk about what my thoughts are and how I'm going to implement it into a hero deck. Let's just get into it. First, with Spirit of Yubel Dark, level 10, attack 0, defense 0, fiend effect. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. 1. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, just like Spirit of Neos. 2. If this card is special summoned, you can take one spell or trap card from your deck that mentions Yubel and either add it to your hand or set it. Fantastic, and I can't believe Spirit of Neos didn't have this effect. Missed opportunity. There are so many hero cards that is just adding, aside from the vision heroes, which are specifically, you know, place face up. So on the spell or trap card zone. So it's refreshing to see an additional opportunity to still acquire those cards if you're locked under Joel and Lockbird, which in my opinion is probably the hardest hand trap to play through in this meta. Every other hand trap, I think we've pretty much got it down. We have a lot of outs, but yeah, that floodgate is just the only one that's really getting on my nerves. But I'm really liking that you can set a Yubel or spell or trap card that specifically mentions Yubel. 3. Cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, you take no battle damage from battles involving this card. Typical Yubel form. If this card is destroyed, you can special summon one of your Yubel that is banished or in your hand, deck, or graveyard. Fantastic. That means you can go into any iteration of Yubel. Now, special summon one of your Yubel. So it's specifically probably form 1. It doesn't say Yubel monsters. So I'm assuming that it's form 1 Yubel. Pretty interesting. Nothing that really synergizes with heroes aside from it being a nice mirror to Spirit of Neos, but pretty fun. Next is a Geist Grinder Golem, Dark, level 10, attack 3000, defense 300, fiend effect. You can only special summon a Geist Grinder Golem once per turn. You can reveal one Yubel monster in your hand, special summon this card from your hand to your opponent's field. Then you can special summon the revealed monster to your field. That's pretty cool. You know, you get a monster on your opponent's side of the field and set up for that burn with Yubel. Once per turn during damage calculation, if this card battles a Yubel monster, your opponent gains 3000. So once it's under the control of your opponent, you just ram it in with Yubel and you gain yourself a nice 3k. If you special summon Yubel while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card to your opponent's field. great. You know, do the whole thing again, destroy the whole field, pop him onto the opponent's side of the field once more, and gain another 3k. Mind you, remember, effect 1 and 3 don't synergize together. So if you special summon it from the graveyard, you're not going to be able to special summon a Yubel from your hand. So remember that. I'm pretty sure people that have been playing for a long time would already understand that, but I just wanted to reiterate. Samasura Regenerating Lotus Dark level 1 can be brought out by 1-for-1. Attack 0, defense 0, fiend effect. You can only use first, second, and third effect of this card's name, each once per turn. Just say all of these effects. Okay, whatever. You contribute this card special summon one Yubel monster from your deck. Pretty sweet. Yubel monster. So if the official TCG just says Yubel from your deck, then that probably means you're only going to be able to special summon the first iteration of Yubel. But if it does say special summon one Yubel monster, if I'm correct, you might be able to summon any monster 1, 2, or 3 variations of the original Yubels, as well as Spirit of Yubel, which I'm sure that's going to be the case because this is going to go in tandem with Spirit of Yubel to pop up their effect. 2. During your opponent's turn, when a monster effect is activated while you control a Yubel monster, quick effect, you contribute this card. That effect becomes destroy one Yubel monster on the field, which triggers Spirit of Yubel's last effect. Pretty nice. It gives you a secondary condition, or not secondary condition, but a way to out certain hand traps, or at least the first monster effect that your opponent might trigger. So if your opponent doesn't see this coming, you might be able to have a nice bait. If your opponent does see it coming, you still can manipulate your opponent a little bit. I wish Heroes had something like that. We don't have a hand trap or a field monster that allows us to stop our opponent's monster effects, and we really need that. Hand traps are not the end of the world for Heroes, but Droll and Lockbird is still an annoying hand trap to go through, and I wish we had something like this to handle it. During your end phase, if you control Yubel and this card is in your graveyard, you can take this card and either add it to your hand or special summon it. Pretty cool as well, given the fact that all the original 3 Yubels have the condition of tributing a monster or destroying it, then you get that protection. So pretty nice, and giving you the effect to do the first effect come turn 2 if it's still on the field. We're gonna save this one for last, but let's go through the spells and traps before we get into the big boss monster. Nightmare Pain, which if I'm correct, that is the attack that happens after, or the effect attack that happens when a monster is attacking into Yubel. Nightmare Pain, continuous spell card. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. During your main phase, you can destroy one monster in your hand or face up on the field, and if you do, add one Yubel or one card that mentions it from your deck to your hand except Nightmare Pain. Cool. You can go into the last previously three monsters or the next 2 spell and trap cards that we're going to go into. Nice. 2. While you control any Yubel monsters, all opponents must attack them if able. So if you have a multitude of them, your opponent can pick and choose which one they want to lose a life to. 3. Your opponent takes any battle damage you would have taken from battles involving your Yubel monsters instead. So that means that any of the original Yubel monsters that you have on the field, if you summon them and you can attack, that means that not only can you trigger the Yubel effect when you attack, because the original Yubels specifically state that they have to wait for your opponent to attack into them. Now this gives your Yubels the capability of just, oh, you got a big monster, let me attack, and you're gonna take all the damage. So that's really cool that they give an additional effect to Yubels. Mature Chronicle. This one's interesting. I'm still on the fence about this. I can see all the combos of how to get Super Poly really easy with this card. All you technically need is this and Samasura Lotus. We'll talk about that in a minute. Mature Chronicles. Chronicle, continuous spell card. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. Each time a Yubel monsters and or monsters that mention Yubel is special summoned, place one Chronicle counter on this card. You can remove up to 5 Chronicle counters from cards you control to activate one of these effects. Special summon one Yubel from your graveyard. 2. Add one of your banished cards, any of your banished cards, to your hand. Nice. 3. Banish one card from your deck so that you can, probably bring it back next turn. 4. Destroy one card on the field. Cool. 5. Add one Super Polymerization from your deck to your hand. That's the spice. And all you need is this is Samasura Lotus. Let me go back over here. Samasura Lotus. So, if I'm correct, if you draw into Samasura Lotus, why isn't this? Okay, weird. If you draw into Samasura Lotus, right? You just throw this down. You summon that, bringing one counter. Tribute it to special summon Yubel. Oh. Whoa. Okay, there it goes. There it goes. Okay. So you go into Lotus Tribute. You already have one counter. If you draw into both Mature Chronicle and Samasura Lotus, then you normal summon or you can 1-for-1, right? You special summon or normal summon, get one counter. Tribute to special summon Spirit of Yubel. That's 2 counters. And then when it's special summoned, you can add a spell or trap card. So you're going to want to go into Nightmare Pain. Then, because of its last effect, if it's destroyed, you can special summon one Yubel. Then you go into activating it, destroying Yubel to add the last card that we're going to talk about. Or you can just go into Geist Grinder Golem. Whoa, weird. Geist Grinder Golem, right? So if you have already another Yubel in your hand, so that is searching Geist Grinder Golem, tributing it to summoning a normal Yubel with the Spirit of Yubel's last effect, and you added Geist Grinder Golem. If you have another Yubel in your hand, then you can activate its effect to special summon it to your opponent's side of the field, then special summon the Yubel monster from your hand. That's 5 summon, and technically all you would need is Samasura Lotus. I'm jumping around so much. Samasura Lotus, Mature Chronicle, and at least one Yubel in your hand, which is a lot. But given the fact that this very much feels like an anime deck, it's fitting, right? It's not going to be so crazy as to being a 1-card combo. This in and of itself enables you to go into Spirit of Yubel. Jesus. Spirit of Yubel, which will get you either Phantom Nightmare or Geist Golem. So, yeah, I'm jumping around too much. Let's just get into the last trap card. By the way, so that was, I hope it was understandable. Mature Chronicle activate, Samasura Lotus into Spirit of Yubel, into Nightmare Pain, into Geist Golem into another Yubel, and that's your 5 summons, getting you Super Polymerization from your deck to your hand. It can be done, and in a dedicated deck, this will thrive, right? You have your Super Polymerization, but it's very predictable, right? Your opponent sees you added Super Polymerization to your hand, and they're like, okay, we know what's gonna happen. So, Eternal Favorite. Yes, another favorite card that can be searched out with Infernal Rage, adding a 3rd favorite card to the list. Continuous Trap card. Once per turn, you can activate one of these effects, but you can only use each of the following effects of this card's name once per turn. Special summon one of your Yubel monsters that is banished or in your graveyard. Neither player can activate cards or effects when it is special summoned. Cool. If you control a Yubel, which I'm guessing, if you control Yubel, it doesn't say Yubel monster, so specifically stating the first iteration of Yubel. Okay, discard 1 card and send this face-up card from your spell or trap card zone to the graveyard. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck. Use a monster from either field as material, including a Yubel monster. Okay. I mean, you still have to control Yubel. I mean, unless they change it in the TCG where it says if you control Yubel monster and then it continues. that's cool. But specifically, you have to have Yubel on the field. So that is another crux of this card, making it another anime card. But it's still pretty interesting. Gives you that out into the new fusion. We'll get into what I have planned for this card, but this trap card and super polymerization ultimately gets you into Yubel das Ving Liebwacher. I think that's how you pronounce it, because if I'm correct, that might be German, and I think they pronounce the W's as a V, Volkswagen, Vacher. I think that's how you pronounce it. Dark, level 12, attack 0, defense 0. Fiend fusion effect. 1 Yubel monster +1 plus effect monsters on the field. So multiple monsters on the field. This is a field wiper. And look at Yubel. They are going for that Infernal Rage and Flame Wingman. Hardcore wing monster on the hand. Look at that evolution. Pre-evolution, right? Before they go into the next nightmare. And in true Flaming Man fashion, if this card is fusion summoned, you can inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each fusion material used for its summon. On base, kind of like if you summon Geist Grinder Golem and your opponent has 2 other monsters, you could super poly for 4 monsters, if not 3, for 1500, maybe 2000 in one fusion. And then if Grinder Golem comes back, you can inflict another 3000. So that's 5000 you can do in one turn with this card. Also, the whole combos. So yeah, that's really cool. I mean, also for time, right? You get that nice 2k, 1500, 1000 life points to the noggin so that you can just go to time. Effect 2. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Nice. Also, you take no battle damage from battles involving this card. Sweet. If this card battles an opponent's monster, at the end of the damage step, inflict damage to them equal to that monster's attack. And if you do, banish it. I don't know how well this works with Nightmare Pain, because this states your opponent takes any battle damage you would have taken from battles involving your Yubel monsters instead. If this card battle cannot be destroyed, also you take no battle damage. That battle. So is it because you take no battle damage, they won't take additional battle damage with Nightmare Pain? I'm guessing that may be the case. Otherwise, it'd be too busted, right? 2 burn damages in one go. So that's really cool. Inflicts damage and banishes the card. So overall, the new Yubel cards are pretty fun. And this is actually a really strong contender for a very powerful super poly. This is a better version of the ultimate armor. Yeah, I know someone wrote down that this is probably going to be the ultimate super poly target, which I don't believe so, unless you have a dedicated deck to summon Yubel. And it won't be too difficult. Favorite fusion deployment is a thing, so you could summon Yubel fairly easily. So it's not difficult whatsoever. It's just, summoning Yubel as a condition or having a Yubel on the field. If your opponent sees that, and they can just connect the dots, right? So I don't believe that there's going to be the ultimate fusion, but with a dedicated deck, it's spicy. And that reminds me, before we go, the reason why I'm excited about this is because the 2 main cards that I would probably use are the Yubel das, I'm not going to pronounce it, I think I'm butchering it, the fusion of Yubel, and the Eternal Favorite. Why? Because you can search this, you just throw that in the deck and you can search it with Infernal Rage. Right, and the dedicated deck that I have, and mind you, this deck wasn't made for this Yubel support, but it just adding this and the fusion instantly makes it better. I have the Elemental Hero Kluger lock, where it's special summoning Elemental Hero Kluger with Secret Village of the Spellcasters and having Plasma on the field, stopping your opponent from activating spells and activating monster effects on the field. Now, the Secret Village of the Spellcasters in tandem with Kluger is fairly easy to pull off. The difficulty is getting to the point where you can summon a Plasma. So having this trap card to supplement that additional point allows you to go into a bigger play, because your opponent doesn't know if you're going to be able to trigger this off, or trigger a super poly after summoning Yubel. Because Kluger, if you Neos Fusion, or if you discard Yubel from your hand to your graveyard, or Miracle Fusion Yubel for Kluger, boom. If you go through the normal lanes of play with heroes, you're going to go into Infernal Rage. And Infernal Rage will either get you this or Favorite Contact. And if you pick this over Favorite Contact after having Yubel in the graveyard for Kluger or a Banish Zone, you just special summon Yubel during the standby phase. Just standby phase, special summon Yubel from my Banish Zone or from the graveyard. Boom. And now your opponent has to watch out for this or Super Poly, which puts them in a very tense situation. One, they cannot activate spells if Secret Village of the Spellcaster is already in the field with Kluger. And then they have to worry about this card. So now as the normal summon and special summon, their lanes of play they get closer and closer to being pushed into a fusion of Yubel and all their monsters. So a well-timed Eternal Favorite fusion will allow your opponent, or will deny your opponent from continuing playing the game. Just like as well as if you do have Super Poly in hand, as well as this on the field, then you can even, mind you, remember, this isn't saying that you're only fusion summoning into the Yubel fusion. This says fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from either field as material. So you can go into Predaplant, Starving Venom Dragon, Predaplant, Dracostalia, and any of the other fusions out there. It just lets you fuse. So if you have a Super Poly, you can do that and then go into a different lane of play for later. So this is interesting. I think the two biggest cards that I will be playing is this and the Yubel Fusion. What do you guys think? Even in a dedicated Yubel deck, I think you can still play heroes, but you'd have to be very technical, right? You'd want to play more toolbox heroes. A Hero Lives, maybe Fusion Destiny, obviously using Fusion Destiny at the end, and you're probably going to want to avoid the Vision heroes in that deck, but you can still focus on the fusioning while also supporting the Yubel aspect of it. If not, you could just sprinkle a little bit of the evil hero package with maybe 3 A Hero Lives, 2 Stratos, and 1 Dark Bane to go into Dark Fusion, which if you fuse a Dusted Gold and Ice Grinder Golem, you have a beefy 5100 attack Gaia. So I think, no, not Gaia. No, you can still go into Malicious Bane on any of them, I think. I know I'm messing it up at some point. Gaia's 1 rock, so it wouldn't work. Malicious Bane has to be... Oh, shoot. Let's go Google. Oh man, I am evil. Evil hero, Malicious Bane. Man, it's been so long since I played him that I totally wiped on his... Okay, level 5, a 5 or higher monster. Okay, so yeah, that one still, you can still go into Malicious Bane with any, even these. Even any of the Yubels. So it still tracks. I was on a different one right there. But tell me what you guys think. I'm excited because this feels like it would be a different kind of gameplay, a different alternative to standard winning. You're burning, of course, but you're playing with your opponent a little bit more than the original Yubel, where you're just static and waiting for your opponent to attack. Now it's just like, I'm gonna get in your face, you're gonna burn unless you do something. Oh wait, I'm gonna Super Poly either way. It's fun. I can't wait to get all these cards. I can't wait to get these two, the Trap and the Fusion, to try them out into the Kluger hero decks. I don't know if anyone else has thought of it. I'm pretty sure someone else has thought about splashing this in. Either way, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you catch me on the next video. It will be coming out soon. See ya. Wait, papas.